I keep telling myself I've never in my entire 35 years of life have seen a season like this one. I've been broken down to the bone, stripped from everything I once knew, heartbroken. I almost feel numb inside. Sometimes I speak to people, sometimes I don't. I yearn for healing, just to be healed from this year. 2025 has been a heavy hitter, something I've never seen TKO. And when I go through things, it's not for very long. This has been long suffering. This wilderness season that God has brought me into. First of all, I didn't know God the way I do now. And when I speak of the suffering, I only speak of it with confidence now because I know God's got my back. But if I was doing this alone, I would have been gone a long time ago, the beginning of the year. I've lost so much. But He is preparing me for something I can't even imagine. Like I said, usually when I go through trials, it's not long, but it's usually worth it. And you're like, dang, I'm glad I went through it. But this long of a trial, this long of a suffering, God, what you got me doing? Like, my future about to be something, because I don't know. Who are you trying to build inside of me, right? There's a time for everything. And the time and the anointed time is now for me. Marking my 35 year on this earth. He said, it's time, baby girl. It's time. It's time to go into boot camp. Because I need to use you. Let's read a verse, Ecclesiastes chapter 3. He sets the time for the birth and the time for death, the time for planting and the time for pulling up, the time for killing and the time for healing, the time for tearing down and the time for building. He sets the time for sorrow and the time for joy, the time for mourning and the time for dancing, the time for making love and the time for not making love, the time for kissing and the time for not kissing. He sets the time for finding and the time for losing, the time for saving and the time for throwing away, the time for tearing and the time for mending, the time for silence and the time for talk. He sets the time for love and the time for hate, the time for war and the time for peace. What season does God have you in right now? Is it a season and a time for tearing down so He can build you back up? Have you been sowing seeds all your life and He's ready to pull you from the harvest? Sometimes they're hard, but they only last for a while. And then the next season comes.